What is really good, internet world? This is Rich of ReviewTechUSA, and you know what time it is when you see the wood grain and hear my sexy voice. It is time for a product review, and this is a new product from Stone Age Gamer. Now, for those who have been following me for a while, you'll remember several months back I reviewed the FC3 Plus, which generally was a really good system. The FC3 Plus played Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo games, and it was a good clone of all three game consoles. The thing that killed the FC3 Plus was the fact you could only use Yobo's proprietary controllers, and that turned off a lot of people, including myself. Now, it was only a matter of time before someone came around to dethrone Yobo, and that would be Hyperkin, and Stone Age Gamer sent me this product. The new 3-in-1 system is the RetroN 3 by Hyperkin. Now I'll show you what you get with the system. Here is the system itself. I already did an unboxing of it because it would just, I have a lot to show in this video, so I don't want to take up too much time. So you get two wireless infrared controllers, which I'll tell you right now, these things are absolutely terrible. I have been playing with the system and you can't even use them. They're unplayable on all three consoles. You get included, which I think is really nice, is you not only get composite cables, you get stereo, left, right, and video. You get a pretty hefty S-video cable as well. So if you want improved picture on your Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, you can use S-video. Unfortunately, S-video does not work with the Nintendo, which is pretty disappointing. You get your fairly hefty power adapter. This is actually one of the bigger power adapters I've seen with the clone consoles. Usually they're very small, they're almost like cell phone adapters, but this one almost looks like the old school Nintendo one. It's not as big, but it's pretty large considering. Okay, last but definitely not least is the RetroN 3 console itself, and I will say right off the bat is that this console is built better than other clone consoles. All of the switches feel really solid, the reset button feels good. I like that they have this dial to switch between the NES, Genesis, and Super Nintendo. The only thing I don't get is that it has 4 slots and there's only 3 systems, so if you have it tilted all the way here, it doesn't do anything. Maybe they were thinking about putting a 4th console in this thing and they didn't do it. You got your dust covers here. Actually feel really solid for dust covers. A lot of times they're very flimsy. They're not on this, which is really cool. Now this is where the RetroN 3 stands out compared to other clone consoles. Not only do you have your SNES controller ports up in front, you have NES controller ports on one side and Sega Genesis controller ports on the other side. So you can use your original controllers from all 3 consoles and they'll work, and I've tried it and they work awesome. The only thing I could say is I wish they put all the controller ports in front, because if you put this in an entertainment center, it's kind of a pain in the butt to have them on one side, and on the other side you'll have to pull out the system. If you have everything really close together, it's kind of awkward, kind of a little design flaw, but honestly I'll take it. Having all 3 original controller ports for all 3 systems was an ingenious idea. Let's take a look at the back here. Another thing I like compared to the FC3 Plus is that this has not only a composite but S-video, and you have your DC input for your power. Also keep in mind, even though there is no light gun included, because it has the original NES ports, it will work with your NES zapper. Okay, so I gave you a quick overview of the RetroN 3. Now let's take it upstairs to my capture equipment and capture some footage from all 3 consoles and see how it performs. We're going to start off with the NES section of the RetroN 3. This is section Z for the Nintendo, and it plays this game very well. The only thing I'll say, like the FC3 Plus, is that the RetroN 3's output gain for the NES is very quiet. I had to raise the volume of the NES games in post-production to make it audible for this review. So quick heads up, be prepared to crank the volume on your TV or home theater system if you want to play NES games on the RetroN 3. And also, the sound is not accurate to the original NES. Take a listen to the intro of Section Z and you'll hear what I mean. Once again, like I said with the FC3 Plus, the audio isn't bad. It's not distorted like it is on the Retro Duo, but it's just not accurate to the original. But besides for that, like I said, the game plays great, the colors are accurate, I really can't complain. Now, of course, I had to include Super Mario Bros. With the NES games. I know a lot of people would have asked me about it. The colors are a little inaccurate, the sound, once again, is a little off, but it's more than playable. If it looks a little extra pixelated, it's because of the fact that I had to convert from composite to S-video to capture video footage, but the game, once again, is very playable. Just don't expect it to be a perfect experience. Okay, we're taking a look at the good old Sega Genesis side of things on the RetroN 3, and we're going to start off with Castlevania Bloodlines, developed by Konami. Now, visually, because this actually works with the S-video output, it looks better than an original Sega Genesis. The whites are very bright, the colors are very sharp and defined. I was actually amazed by how good the Sega Genesis section of the RetroN 3 looked through the S-video connection. I just wish Hyperkin made the NES part of the RetroN 3 S-video compatible, just to make setting it up on your TV more convenient. The only flaw that caught my attention while playing Castlevania Bloodlines on the RetroN 3 is that the sound output sounded kind of muffled. Here, I'll let you listen to the game for a second and see what you think. Did you hear how the snare and the high-frequency sound effects in that little clip sounded really rolled off? Maybe not if you're not familiar with Castlevania Bloodlines, but I noticed it. It's not really a big deal, but I did feel it was necessary to mention it. But like I said, the visuals look gorgeous, the sound is more than passable. I like it. I can't complain. Now, due to time constraints, I'm not going to be able to go into too much detail about this game, but I don't think I need to. This is Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis. It plays perfect. The only thing that I noticed big time was that the sound was off. I'll let you listen. Now granted, when Sonic collects rings, it doesn't make your ears bleed, and it doesn't have off-key notes like the Gen Mobile does, but it just doesn't sound like the original Sega Genesis, and it was much more noticeable in this than Castlevania Bloodline. But once again, it plays great, the sound is good enough, I can't complain. Okay then, due to time constraints, I'm gonna have to bundle the two SNES games together, but I don't mind doing that because honestly, the SNES side of the RetroN 3 is pretty much spot on to the original SNES. The sound in Mega Man X was perfect, and so was the gameplay. And the Super Effects chip-enhanced Star Fox ran with no problems whatsoever. Now let's bring this review home for a final verdict. Okay, so is the RetroN 3 the wet dream that old school gamers have been looking for? Pretty much, yeah. All three systems perform pretty well, you can use all your old school controllers with the system, and it has S-video out to get the better picture quality. But unfortunately, the RetroN 3 does still have some glaring flaws. The first being these horrible controllers. First off, what is with using infrared? You have to have the controller directly in front of the system, and even when you have these in front of the system, they're not responsive. There's a huge delay. They're worthless. You can't use them. They make games unplayable. Just, if you get the system, throw these things in the garbage. That's all you can do with them. The second problem with the RetroN 3, and this is a big one as well, is that it has the same compatibility issues. It doesn't work with Virtual Racing. It doesn't work with Street Fighter Alpha 2. It doesn't work with Castlevania 3. Come on, how many more times can you make a console clone that doesn't work with the same exact games over and over and over again? And it spans through all the different companies. This is a pile of crap. I don't get it. It drives me insane. I mean, are you kidding me? God almighty in heaven. So my final verdict on the RetroN 3 is, if you've been on the fence about getting a clone console, this is the one to buy. It's not perfect, but it comes pretty damn close. Anyway, this is Rich of ReviewTechUSA. For more gaming and technology reviews, go to ReviewTechUSA.com.